Hello, my name is Dominic Berry and I'm making a video in my cold flat in Manchester. That's why I'm wearing a dressing gown. And I want to speak about Mortal Kombat X. Because you know what? There's been a few Mortal Kombat since, and I reckon this is one of, if not the best Mortal Kombat. Certainly in terms of sales, it rocketed, didn't it? This one did so very well, and yet it gets its critics. There are people who, because they love the franchise so much, are keen to point out the areas in which this might be lacking. And I want to counter-argue a few things. I want to defend some of the stuff that others might not reckon is top of the shop in this. Now, I've got so much to say. You might see me looking down here because I've made a whole ton of notes because I just have so much I want to talk about this game. I want to take you back because I was there, man, when Mortal Kombat X was advertised. And people said it was going to come out on PS3. They did. That was the story, that Cassie Cage and the gang were going to be there on PS3 for real. I pre-ordered it from Game. I was waiting. If you pre-ordered, you got Goro as a bonus character. And I had Mortal Kombat Mobile on an iPad. I was travelling around for work and I was being introduced to the new characters, getting so excited. Who is this? Kotal Khan. And I was counting down the days to get my Mortal Kombat X on the PS3 because I'd loved 9 so much, having not been so into versus DC or even Armageddon. I was so excited. And you know what? My story is, I didn't realise until the day of release the PS4 came out, no PS3. I was devastated. I was so sad. And I'd kind of lost my love for Mortal Kombat Mobile. If you love Mortal Kombat Mobile, good on you, but it is a mobile game. It's a different genre to the consoles. It's not like the Vita or PSP versions of Mortal Kombat. Not at all. So a big reason I got a PS4 was to play this. And you know what? I loved it. And one of the reasons I loved and still love this is all the new characters. Now, sometimes, like when Tekken 3 came out after Tekken 2, people love the new characters. Yeah, bring us some Eddie Goro. Eddie Goro? I'm getting my franchises mixed up. Eddie Gordo. Give us our Hwarang, give us the new characters. But often, like Street Fighter 3, people rail against them. And I don't think the new characters get as much love as they deserve in Mortal Kombat X, because I have not seen a Mortal Kombat with such a diverse, refreshing set of newcomers since Mortal Kombat Deception. A game goes stagnant if they just keep repeating the same things over and over, palette swap characters. To be fair, some of Deception's characters look quite interesting, but we all know that Kira and Cobra are not the most creative. When you compare them to Ferrator on this, when you compare them to Takeda on this, a third of the characters in here are new characters, not least of all Kotal Khan. I've got a lot to say about my man Kotal Khan. I am a casual gamer. I don't have the high skill, but I have tried with Kotal Khan because I find his gameplay and his story fantastic. And the graphics are beautiful. Like, what a step up from the already amazing graphics of the previous Mortal Kombat. So good. I'm going to briefly talk about Crypt. The Crypt mode, again, a step up from Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 9 Crypt was great. This one, first-person perspective, walking around an actual maze, unlocking new areas. It was a whole new mini-game. I think they made it even better in Mortal Kombat 11. And what a step down in the most recent one, in my opinion. So yeah, most of this video, I'm going to talk about the story mode, because as a predominantly single player, casual player, it's the story that hooks me in, and this is where a lot of people critique it. Because you know what? Yeah, there's areas in which it could be better. I think that Shinnok is a little one-dimensional as a big bad guy. He's no Shao Kahn. But I love Kotal Khan. I love the politics. I think that Kotal Khan, he does such bad things, but I so believe that he has conviction in his actions. I think he's a really intriguing character. Similarly, Devora, with her betrayal, her deception. I'm a really big fan of Devora, and it's good to see a character who is a woman who is also a monster, because if you look at Soul Calibur, only men get to be monsters. All the women are pretty. And Devora gets a lot of hate because she, spoilers, she kills Baraka and she kills Melina. I'm all right with main characters being slain. I'd loved how in Mortal Kombat 9 they were brave enough to kill off so many of the characters when Sindel goes absolutely nuts and destroys loads of people. I was a fan and was so relieved that they kept them dead in here. I like the concept of the revenants, the zombies. I think that's really built on with how they actually pull back, not just Jax and Sub-Zero, but Scorpion. What a mind mess that was. That Scorpion, who since the very first one in the 90s has always been, we know he's undead. He's not anymore. He's not. He's alive. Scorpion is alive. What an interesting concept that was, that we've still got Liu Kang dead, but Scorpion is now alive. I love that. I love that. What an interesting, surprising story. Now, I've been thinking since I was a kid, I've been thinking, wouldn't it be good if they did like Mortal Kombat, the Next Generation? Like, I grew up with Star Trek. I'd loved Star Trek, the Next Generation, like comparing Captain Kirk to Captain Picard. I love that concept. You know, I previously mentioned Tekken 2 to Tekken 3, the Next Generation. And they do it here. They do it here. And I love all four of the Combat Kids. I'm going to make a whole video about Kung Jin, separate video, because I am a gay man and representation matters. It matters. We've got Kitana and Liu Kang with their romance explored. So you can't say, oh, well, it doesn't matter, because we're seeing heterosexual representation in games all the time. And how they do Kung Jin in story mode, the conversation between Raiden and him, I think Kung Jin's homosexuality is done really skillfully, really sensitively. The sensitivity, are Johnny Cage and Sonya good parents? Is Kung Jin accepted? Some argue that that's really at odds with the arcade mode, where you're ripping out people's hearts. And yeah, it is. It's really at odds. And that was a conscious effort on the designer's side, that they wanted the story to be a counterbalance to the gore. And in my opinion, that really, really works. I love seeing Johnny Cage mature. I love seeing how he develops as a person from being a really silly, privileged, entitled, arrogant kid to what fatherhood does to him. I think the 20-year gap is really interesting, seeing where Johnny Cage goes. The green glow that he's got from being a descendant of gods or whatever that's meant to be, it's an interesting start, and it kind of explains why maybe like he did as well as he did in the earlier games. And it's great, spoiler, when Cassie Cage has it too, when she sees him. I like that as a narrative thread. I think it's a shame they didn't really carry that on in Mortal Kombat 11. I think that it's an interesting thing. Quan Chi. I really like Quan Chi's story in this game, and I love what happens between Quan Chi and Scorpion. I love everything about Quan Chi's arrogance. He's a brilliant villain. In the story mode, each chapter generally gets 4 fights, and then you move on to a different character. So 4 fights as one character, then you move on, 4 fights as another. And generally speaking, it's quite formulaic. I happen to be an autistic man, and maybe there's something about the formula of it being 4, then you move on. 4, you move. I like that pattern. I like that pattern. A lot of people criticise it and say that the story would flow better without that pattern. Some people say Kung Jin is overpowered, that it makes Kotal Khan seem a bit pathetic if he gets beaten by Kung Jin. Kung Jin is a human thief, and in front of everyone in Outworld who is watching, Kotal Khan gets beaten by Kung Jin. But in my head, it's the 4th fight in Kung Jin's story. It's a bit like a boss battle. It's a bit like a boss battle. I accept it. I accept it. I think, you know, maybe Kung Jin just got lucky that day. I do martial arts in real life, and they always say if 2 people spar and 1 person wins, it doesn't mean they're better at sparring. It means they were better at sparring in that moment. And I think maybe in a different moment, Kotal Khan would have beaten Kung Jin. Maybe Kung Jin just got lucky. It doesn't destroy the story for me. It doesn't destroy the story. There's loads implied, like Jackie Briggs. A lot of her story isn't fully realised. But you know what? In the 90s games, in the original MKs, the story was only implied. So much of what I loved about Raiden, I got from filling in the blanks in my own head. And some people like Jackie Briggs is underwritten. Yes, she is. But you know who else was underwritten? Liu Kang in the very first game, Raiden in the very first game. All of it was implied and we filled in the blanks. And I think there's so much with the relationship between Jackie and her father, which is intriguing. I'm on board for Jackie. I'm going to speak a little bit about the comics. Again, these comics get a lot of critique. They're prequels, so they're set between Mortal Kombat 9 and X. And if you love Cassie, Jackie, Takeda, and to a lesser extent Kung Jin, he's not in here all that much, to be honest. But in terms of story, all we've got is X11 and these comics. So I love them. Could they be better? Yeah, they could. There's some cheesy dialogue in here. Well, you know, we've all grown up with Hollywood movies. We've all seen cheesy dialogue. Some of the characters who were introduced in the PS2 era of Mortal Kombat, the 3D era of Mortal Kombat, they're introduced in here only to get slain. And indeed, Cassie does kill Movado in a way that really makes you think, what? This is like a hero? That's one of the areas where they do introduce the gore in a way that I don't think fits with Cassie's character. It feels a little bit, no one's going to say that was really full on for her to really take delight in murdering this character. Like a lot of comic books, these suffer from just having a billion characters. Like, I love Scorpion in this. If you've ever seen any of the Fourth Snakes YouTube videos, he says how he dislikes how Scorpion's kind of made like Jin and Devil Jin, like he's wrestling the Scorpion persona. I'm on board for that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think that Scorpion really shines in this comic book series. It's Scorpion and Takeda who I'm here for most in this. You know, Cassie and Jackie are interesting, but then they get, you know, the blood code makes them bad. And I'm always a bit less interested, like in DC when Superman goes bad. I think it's a bit of an easy threat to just make the strong goodies go bad. And it's all right. The comics start better than they end. They're good, though. They're good. At the end of the day, the story mode of this and the stories of these, they're surprising. They are surprising. The live-action Mortal Kombat movie we got recently, it weren't surprising. The animated Mortal Kombat movies, I didn't find them surprising. Now, I'm not good at predicting where stories go, but I did in those movies. But these, it surprised me. It surprised me. It interested me on a first viewing, on a first reading. I couldn't tell where it was going, and it gripped me, and it excited me. The story is exciting. Are there plot holes? Yes. Are there certain bits that could be better or more fully realised? Yes. But the story gripped me. It was exciting. It intrigued me, and always good to see my boy Havik back again. He's not as interesting as he was in his debut in the PS2 game Mortal Kombat Deception, but still, they do him fairly well in this. So yeah, there's a lot of characters, so it does get a bit confusing reading this, and there's time jumping back and forwards in the story of this, so it is a bit confusing. But maybe that's just me being like really not that bright. But despite that, I was excited and I followed it and I loved it. I'm going to end this video. This has been my longest one yet because I've got oh, there's my boy, Kung Jin. You, my man, you're getting a whole video made about you because you are awesome. Look at his weapon. Look at his stance. He is epic good. Oh, video due about him. I mean, Ferrator, Tanya. Oh, so much to love. So much to love. The guest characters, I think they do really well here. In Mortal Kombat 9, when they introduced Freddy Krueger, I was against that. I was like, you've taken up a whole spot of someone who could be a returning combatant from the PS2 era. You could have given me Havik playable in Mortal Kombat 9. You've given me Freddy Krueger. I'm not bothered about Freddy Krueger. I wish you hadn't done that. But then I played as Freddy Krueger. I was never a big fan of the movies, didn't really connect to them. But he's a good character in Mortal Kombat 9, so I accepted it. And what I am a fan of, subjectively, is the Alien movies. So to play as Alien here, amazing, amazing, amazing. To battle Alien, the fatalities, even the standard, what happens if you beat someone as Alien. Oh, it's just so good, so good, so good. And yeah, the other characters are really well realised. Leatherface, Jason. It's so exciting. And in conclusion, I think the number of new characters. Triborg. I wish they kept bringing back Triborg because it's a great way of only using one spot to bring us multiple characters. I love all the variants of Triborg. In Mortal Kombat 11, I prefer being able to choose individual moves rather than just getting a set of moves, like 3 variants in MKX, but it was still great to have that customization. This video has been so long, so you know what? I'm going to stop now before I end up making a video that's like 100 hours long. But I've just got so much passion for Mortal Kombat X, and you know what? For all of the critique the story gets, it excited me. To prevent it becoming stagnant, they brought in new characters, and they are barely there in the most recent game, and that makes my blood boil, because bring back Cassie Cage, bring back Ferrator, you know. Anyway, I've loved making this video. Thank you so much for watching it. Do you think I've been too kind on Mortal Kombat X? Should I have been a little bit harsher? I can't really comment on the competitive side of things because I'm a casual gamer, but I'd love to read in the comments what you make of this game. Thank you so much for watching. Stay warm. See you next time.